Hello, Bookworms. Welcome to the Weekend Readers Book Club. Thank you for joining us. In this episode, we are discussing the 2020 release crime whodunit book, Camino Winds by John Grisham. So this book is centered around one character, Bruce, who owns a bookstore on Camino Island. He's been there for about 20 plus years. His group of friends is small and tight, and they range from mainly writers and different genres of book writers, but writers nonetheless. A big storm comes and hits the island, a tropical storm, and it ravages the island. One of Bruce's friends, a writer, has ended up dead, and we have to decide whether or not did the storm kill Bruce's friend or was it murder? And if it was murder, what was the motive and who did it? This book takes you on a journey from being on the island with his exclusive group of friends, which are writers, to local and interstate police, to the FBI, to how even investigating and doing stings on corporate and non-trading corporate companies. This book had a bit of everything. It had a bit of romance, it had the criminal aspect, it had the whodunit aspect. In addition, it also had the police plus local and federal aspect to it, but also a touch of humanity in it, where you are shown a side of a character who cares about his friend, his family, and just trying to seek the truth about what happened, no matter what the cost, just to give everybody closure. Now, I can confirm that Camino Winds is the second book in the Camino Islands series. I didn't know that picking this book up. The book itself can be read as a standalone, as I have done. It does give you great character backstory, especially for the main character and the gentleman who got murdered. And then also you have got backstories detailed for the supporting characters throughout the story, but their backstory isn't as in-depth. So this book, Camino Winds, can be read by itself. If you wanted to read it in the series, you would read Camino Island first and then come back to Camino Winds. But I haven't read Camino Island. I just read Camino Winds as its own separate standalone book. Now, what I did like in this book is that it was a slow burn. The first chapter was very slow, and I was scratching my head trying to figure out what exactly I was reading, because what I read in the book hadn't reflected what was on the back page blurb that I read. But then after the first chapter, it does pick up. So that slow burn does heighten, and then as you get to the middle of the book, I found myself not being able to put it down. I wanted to find out more about what was going on, and then I just ended up powering through the chapters to get it completed, because boy oh boy, once you hit that middle part, it all goes from there. In addition to that, I found the content matter very interesting. Now, I'm not going to explain what the content matter is because it will give away a lot of the story, but there is a second story over and above the whodunit criminal aspect of it, which you'll find out in the book, which I found extremely, extremely great to read and highly entertaining, especially going into the way in which it's delivered, both through the deceased character and also third parties that are actually part of it. Very, very interesting to see what goes on. And it had me hooked. That's all I can say. It had me hooked. And that made from about, the middle of the book onwards, just a book that I didn't want to, put down and just wanted to keep on reading. What I didn't like about the book, I didn't like the ending. But again, that's my own personal issue, not on any fault of John Grisham himself. The ending gave us a closure to one aspect of the story, but there's multiple levels and layers in this book where I wish the ending was a bit more dragged out. It felt rushed, put it that way. It's just, you got to the end, this is what's happened, boom, and it's like, oh, okay, we've closed it off, but the detail that you've given me throughout the whole book to lead up to that part, say, seems 10 times longer than what you've given me for the ending, which only seems to be like, one chapter. I would have liked the ending to be drawn out a bit more, but again, that's my own personal preference, and that's nothing to do with the writer itself. Overall, I have really enjoyed this book. As I said, it was a slow burn. Once you got past that first chapter, it had me. By halfway through the book, I couldn't put it down. Now, will this book go on my bookcase? Unfortunately not. This book is not as good as Runaway Jury in my eyes. I would also state that, now this is going to be controversial, but I'm a huge John Grisham fan, and I actually prefer Playing with Pizza over Camino Winds. And Playing for Pizza is not a very good rated book, but I enjoyed that a hell of a lot better than this. So, no, it won't go on my bookshelf, but it is a great read. Now, you two, the listener, can actually make your own decision on whether or not you think this book is a great read or not. Feel free to view our links in our bio. There we have the book available for you to click on to go ahead and purchase via Amazon, where you will be able to get the book either in paper format, electronic, or even Kindle. Feel free to purchase the book yourself, have a read, and make your own decision on the book. As I said, I did enjoy it. It wasn't a standout John Grisham read for me. But you may be completely different, and you may find that you read this and it's excellent, or even you may read it and just think it's complete garbage. That's entirely up to you, but feel free to use our links in our bio to pick up the book today. As custom with the Weekend Readers, as one book closes, another book has to open. And it is now time to find out what the next read will be for the Weekend Readers Book Club. The next read is brought to you by Fontytees. It's just fonts, on teas, and more. Have a view today over at fontytees.com. The next read for the Weekend Readers Book Club is Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. Now this book has been in my pile to read, solely because I've wanted to always watch the movie, and I made the decision not to watch the movie until I've read the book. So I'm going to give my first Agatha Christie book a whirl and see how we get on, and let's see if the hype is real in relation to this book and her writing. So that's our episode and discussion for today for the book Camino Winds by John Grisham. If you are reading along with us, or you wish to read along with us, feel free to engage with us on our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, Weekend Readers Book Club, and also on YouTube, The Weekend Readers. You'll also find this podcast available on Spotify under The Weekend Readers. Until next time, thanks again for joining us, and Bookworms, happy reading.